I'm Joe Lorario.
And I'm Ed Feldman, the furniture guys.
And if you haven't had enough of us, we've done a home video to help you turn those garage sale giveaways into beautiful furniture.
From finding them, buying them, refinishing, repair, and upholstery, we'll take you step by step through 3 restoration projects.
3?
Yes, and show you how it's done so you can do it yourself.
Order
now.
I would order now.
Joe and Ed's Furniture to Go home video is available for just $19.95. To order, call 1-800-732-0700 with your credit card ready.
You make it so much noise. Why don't you just back up a truck this time?
You should hear my knees.
Are you sure this is the right safe?
I know it's the right safe.
Wow.
Look. See that?
Look, today's show is about abrasives, right?
Uh-huh.
Our informants tell us that inside this safe is the most abrasive substance on Earth.
Oh, let's find it. Let me get the finished paper.
Can you tell that's finished paper?
Yeah, I got it in Finland. It doesn't work either. Something coarser.
Why don't you just use your head?
You got it.
Wait, I heard something. A sublime opening to a ridiculous show, the world of abrasives.
We did the world of stripping, and now the world of abrasives. How
We are
much more
surrounded
exciting
by
can we-
some of the most abrasive substances on Earth.
That's right. And you know, before sandpaper was available in stores, cabinet makers used to make their own sandpaper using paper, hide glue, and glass.
What we've done, we've melted down some hide glue in a double boiler,
This is the hide glue right here.
broken some
And he hit it on me.
broken some glass.
Hold on. I want to show this is the hide glue. Now here is the glass that's been pummeled,
In a mortar and pestle.
and I ground it down fairly fine.
What he's actually going to do is paint hide glue onto a piece of paper.
But you just tap this down.
And then you wait. Do you have
That
to
sews
bake it at all?
Now there's, believe it or not, this is the way it was done in the first finishing manual from 1827, I believe it was, the directions for it. But you don't want to do that. It's crazy.
No. Here we have some garnet paper,
This is garnet,
or if you live in Philadelphia, garnet paper.
right? And then you have emery paper.
Here's emery paper.
It's very popular in Cleveland. Comes with a pipe.
And then we have some silicon carbide paper. That's made, by the way, they get the carbon out of Coke.
Coke, the soft drink.
No, the byproduct of coal.
Right.
We get the sand. Sand makes silicon.
Right.
And sawdust for porosity, which is a word of yours.
You got porosity,
And
right.
it's heated in an oven
To 4,200 degrees
and you get
Fahrenheit.
Silicon carbide paper. Here we have some aluminum oxide. That's not as hard. It's chunky, and it's less likely to fracture.
Fracturing is when you sand with a piece of paper. Let me see this. This is 60 grit, so it's very
Tough.
It's for rough wood. Now, when you sand, what is actually happening? You sand,
With the grain.
and that sound is actually the sandpaper. It's all the little pieces that are glass or stone that's actually cutting into the wood. And these little bits, they break off as you sand, and they create new sharp edges. Sandpaper is only as good as well as it fractures.
But there's also hardness.
Yes.
Now we come to the hardness scale, or as we call it,
The Mohs scale.
Aluminum oxide has a 9.4 Mohs scale.
That's right.
10 being perfect. Let's go back to Flint. Where did
Michigan?
No.
We did a show there one time.
Where did these things come from? Flint is quarried. It's a grayish-white stone.
Yes, it is.
And it's broken up from the quarries. Garnet.
Garnet's dark red. It's a semi-precious stone. And it's, what is that on the Mohs scale? It's a
7.5
7.5
on the Mohs scale.
That
Now-
comes from New York State,
Yes.
by the way.
Emery, that's black. That comes from Greece and Turkey, believe it or not. It comes from, its name comes from Cape Emery.
That's in Noxus, right?
Naxos. You are noxious.
Naxos. Well, I always think of the chip.
The island of Naxos,
Right.
that's 8.5 to 9.0 on the
The Mohs
Mohs
scale.
scale. Now let's go back to emery. Where do we have emery?
That's emery. This
And
is
here's
emery.
some emery. Look,
Well, this is an old tape. Yeah, it's kind of a rough cut.
rough cut, huh?
Well, this kind of paper is very good. It's used for metal a lot. It's
Yeah.
cloth-backed.
And it's good to go around things.
Well, let's say you're doing spindles. You got a whole bunch of spindles. You can take this paper.
Put it on that.
And you can put it around the surface, let's say, and you could do this.
Or you could shine a rough shoe with that.
Likewise, this square piece or rectilinear piece can be torn into any shape.
Now,
Anyway.
we've done the paper. Let's go on to some machines.
Well,
Sanding
let's
machines.
do one other thing which
What?
has come about.
Oh, the abrasive pads.
These are abrasive pads that are now very popular in place of steel wool a lot of times. I know in my own business when I used to use steel wool, I'd wind up getting little steel wool points in my fingers, little fibers.
Why don't you wear a glove?
Well, I did wear gloves, but still, sometimes you rush and you get into doing it with no gloves and you get these little steel bits.
I take my time.
These knock that out. You don't get them.
So they're abrasive pads.
They're abrasive pads and you can scrub with them with solvents and they work really well.
Now, are they on the Mohs scale?
No.
No, they're not.
No.
They're on the Schempp scale.
A few years ago, we did this demonstration to show how the Nissan Altima runs so smoothly. It can pass the same test as the $40,000 Lexus LS 400. But perhaps you're wondering what happens to an Altima after its owner has driven it over 100,000 miles. We're pleased to say, not very much. The Nissan Altima, the affordable luxury sedan.
Oh, well, I'm the kind of life that helps to get you going. When you're on your own out on the road, it's such a comfort knowing you got the snake light from Black & Decker. I get around, I'm the snake light.
To order your Black & Decker Snake Light Auto, call 1-800-231-9786.
Welcome to Thomasville. With this Memorial Day, you'll find elegance and timeless craftsmanship at once-in-a-lifetime prices. The Thomasville Memorial Day Sale. Extraordinary furniture, extraordinarily priced. Call now for details, because after May 27th, this sale will only be a beautiful memory. Thomasville. Make yourself at home.
Saturday.
It's a wall of water.
And
What makes Milo fly? Peak Performance, Saturday at 10 on TLC.
get ready for how-to advice from the ground up on the Renovation Guide. Coming up next. Then, double your knowledge, double your fun with back-to-back episodes of Home Time. It's all next right here on TLC.
Okay.
Let's talk about some machines.
Now, I had this was a square piece. I'm going to cut it again, a fourth time, quarter it, because these pad sanders...
That's called a pad sanders, and they take quarter-size pieces. They sort of vise into the side.
There's a little spring clip there. Now you clip this in. The proper way to sand is to sand... When you go slow like that, the pad, which travels in an orbit, hence the term orbital sander...
But in very tight little orbits, like Mercury, not like a big, like a Jupiter.
All right, all right. When the pad goes around and around, you're giving the pad enough time to eradicate the squiggles that it's making. If you go fast...
Oh, yeah. I'd never do that, by the way.
Now, if you see these marks in here, we've got some squiggles, you see them? And the reason that occurs is because you're going too fast with the sander. If you give the sander enough time to eat up the squiggles, then you won't have that problem. But even so, when you use a machine, I know at any time I use a machine, I may do it for the first work, and then I always finish off hand sanding. And when you hand sand, the important thing with hand sanding is always wet the piece. Let's say you finished this, you got a piece and you've just finished it and you've taken it up to 100 grit sandpaper. Wet the piece with some water. And then give it about 15 minutes to dry. what happens is the water will raise the grain. And then with the next grit paper, which would be like a 220, sand kind of on an angle to cut those little fibers off. If you sand straight, you're going to push the fiber back down into the pore. So sand on an angle, cut the fiber off, and then wet the wood again. Let it raise again, and then sand it with an even finer sandpaper. This happens, you want to do this when you're going to do a natural finish, maybe just an oil or a light coat of varnish or something. But if you're going to stain the wood, don't sand it real smooth, because the smoother you make the wood, the less the stain is going to penetrate.
How come some sandpaper smells like low tide? Really bad.
I don't know.
I don't know what that is.
I
Let's
can't
move
tell you.
on to the orbital, or no, the belt sander.
The belt
now.
sander.
The belt sander.
Now, let's clamp the wood down first.
Yeah, I think so.
Now you just... And the trick with the belt sander is, between the two wheels, there's a flat pad.
That's what you sand with, not with the wheels.
Show that. Take this out. Always unplug when you're demonstrating.
And always clamp the wood.
You see this? This is what you're sanding on right there. That's it. Okay? If you move this way or you move that way, you're going to make divots in the wood, and you don't want to do that. So put your belt on.
Divot niven.
Plug in, please.
I knew I was here for a reason.
Adjust. And sand. And you got to kind of get down low with the wood. And when you're working on the top of a piece, say always pull the machine or push the machine off the edge. Don't stop in the middle. Don't start in the middle. Always start like that.
And always...
I'm running the machine just so you don't...
Yeah, vision is very important. Vision is very important. Always get into a position. Always get into a position. Now, how do you clean a belt sander?
Well, you
as
know,
if I didn't know.
In the abrasive store, the hardware store, they sell these little blocks that are packaged. They're kind of a neoprene color, like a yellow color. You hold it on there and it pulls it off. But I found over my years of experiencing that these pieces here...
Stole off a '59 Cadillac right here.
This is from a bumper I found in an accident, actually. There was an accident occurred, and the next morning I went by and they were cleaning up the pieces, and this piece of bumper was laying there, and I know because it's a piece of hard rubber, you can use it for cleaning the belt.
So mindless vandalism is always
the
a
same
good thing
way,
on a
I don't
Sunday
know what
morning.
this piece is, but I found it, but it's made of the same kind of compressed rubber. And if you hold the piece on the belt, you have the beautiful, wonderful smell of burned tires.
Of burning tires, 1959. So not only
but it does clean the belt and gives you a little more life
does your house smell like a drive-in, lest we forget when using any of these power tools.
Safety equipment.
Goggles and a dust mask.
That's right.
You don't have to use your respirator for this.
I want to show you this because I found these a long time ago. These are used for cars, but they're very good for sanding large objects like tabletops or whatever. And what happens is I got a piece of leather on here right now because I use these for rubbing out. I can use these in conjunction with like soapy water or oil and pumice and rotten stone.
Soapy water, huh?
But this clips in just like on the orbital. And you have to buy the sandpaper for these babies.
We have the lovely varieties of steel wool going from the very coarse.
You know which number that is?
That's a 14. That's a 4.
Right.
That's a number 4 course. Here's a 3 medium course.
You got to take a new course.
And here's I'm going to set you on a course.
You better take a course.
A 2, a medium course. A 1 is a medium. And then we go to 0. 1, 0, which is sort of fine, medium fine. 2, 0, 3, 0, extra fine, and 4, 0, so unbelievably very fine.
This is 4-0. This is what's used in the finishing business to rub out clear finishes.
Or if you're really hungry, instead of shredded wheat. And finally,
now we get into the powdered abrasives.
The powdered abrasives.
Which are right down here. This is pumice.
Pumice, which comes from our friend the volcano.
It's 4F pumice. It's the finest. They sell pumice in 1F, 2F, 3F, and 4F. This is
4F can't get into the Army.
It's it's like talcum powder almost, but there's a little grit to it, a true grit.
The rotten stone, which
This is rotten stone.
as everyone knows,
It's decomposed limestone, and it's kind of like a gray powder also, but this feels like flour almost. Feels like flour. And this is from the shores of Tripoli. That's what it's called.
That's so unbelievably fine. Jewelers use that.
This is what jewelers use for polishing up jewels. These are used in conjunction with either soapy water sprinkled on the surface and then rubbed with a leather pad or with a felt block, or you can use them with oil. Well, that's the entire category of abrasives.
The wonderful world of abrasives.
As many as we can come up with.
The world of abrasives in picture form.
There's more soap residue in your hair than you think. So you'd better call your Rain Soft water treatment dealer today.
Well, Doc, it all started about a year or so ago. I started hearing these voices everywhere I went.
10 cents a minute, 1 dime, and it's good forever.
Good idea. Sometimes I hear the strange counting.
1 minute, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes.
Oh, I can't go anywhere without the voices. Doc, in all your years, does it remind you of anything? Doc? Doc?
Actually, Kenneth, it reminds me that I want to call Sprint for that dime rate myself.
Boy.
Sprint Cents. Call now for 10 cents a minute.
Wines this good must be guarded with care. That's why Franzia comes in an airtight pouch that protects the fresh taste to the last glass. Maybe that's why it's America's favorite wine.
Hold on tight for Twister season. You've heard about the movie. Now live through the real thing.
It is really amazing what a tornado can do.
Follow real storm chasers on a path to destruction. Join us for Wonders of Weather, Tornadoes, Wednesday at 9 on TLC.
It set the standard in do-it-yourself books. But now, we've made the best even better. Introducing the all-new Home Repair and Improvement series from Time Life Books. With new color illustrations, step-by-step instructions, and a new spiral binding so books lay flat. It's never been easier to save money and create the home you've always wanted. You'll learn how to build a deck your family will enjoy for years. The tricks of the trade to install a new patio. Call now to examine decks, porches, and patios free for 15 days. Keep it for the special low TV price of just $1.99. Use your credit card and get this Stanley tape measure absolutely free. Other volumes will follow. Keep only those you want. The new Home Repair and Improvement series from Time Life Books. We've made the best even better.
Call 1-800-795-5588 now to get decks, porches, and patios for just $1.99. That's 1-800-795-5588.
Look at that. I gotta fix that. And you gotta fix it too. You got anything like that? How does this happen?
All right, I'm not going to talk like that anymore. How does this happen? This is an outside arm, and it gets baggy, doesn't it? How does it get baggy? People bang on it. People watch TV, and they say, "Those eagles! I hate those eagles!" You tell where I come from? Or the blind hound. It runs into it headlong with the hard head, making the indentation. You must fix this. I shall show you how. First, we put its legs up sideways. I know it's painful, but you got to do it. And then we get our tools. And we take it apart because underneath we find the cambric or dust cover is attached by a row of staples. And we take them out so easily. And what do we find underneath? We find what they're hiding with the cambric or dust cover. The cheap springs. They say it's to keep dust out. They're lying to you. They always lie to you. Only I tell you the truth. Listen to me. Listen to the sound of my voice. And then we have where the outside arm is attached actually to the frame. No stitching, but staples or tacks right to the wood. In this case, cheap wood. And then we pull the center tight. The center tight, and one staple straight and true into the wood so deep and fine and satisfying. And then we pull tight down the front and tight down the back. This should take you all of a minute and a half. And then we pull the cambric back up. You want to put a new one on? Go ahead. Not me. And then once again, staple in the middle. And there, all we have to do is pull it back up.
Now look, it's nice and tight. It's ready for you to watch your favorite show and relax with your favorite beverage.
I fixed it. So can you. Oh, very good. Now, for those of you still awake, we're going to make our own cherry stain.
Did you bring the pound of cherries?
I ate them. Pits,
no, not real cherry. The look of cherry, that antique, pretty red colored look, you know, that antiques have. It's hard to get that out of a can. You could buy a can of stain, oil stain that says cherry, but if you put it on, it's just going to look like this. What I'm going to do here, this is kind of a mock-up of a cabinet side. And what you have here, this inside, the darker color, this is a cherry plywood. The edge band on here is solid cherry. And this top, because you can't buy cherry crown molding, this is a piece of pine. So I got 3 types of wood here that I'm going to try and match to one color, and that color is going to be the antique cherry.
A true test of your color mixing skills, Mr. L.
That's true. I'm going to tape off this solid. I have to shellac.
Some of it, but not all of it.
The plywood, because
the plywood, which is the darker wood.
One of the reasons why plywood stains unevenly is because it's very porous, more porous than the solid. The plywood absorbs more stain, so it gets a blotchy look. If you shellac it first with our spit coat mixture, you remember 1 part shellac, 2
6 parts denatured alcohol.
But you were going to finish that.
No, I was signing for the hearing impaired.
See, now what's happening is all the shellac is going down into the wood.
I wish I could.
It's sealing the wood. Here is the furniture on the mend, drying fan.
1995, send cash.
This is abrasive silicone paper. This is the abrasive show, too. This is just a little... Now, I'm going to sand this. What I'm sanding the shellac off, but I'm leaving the shellac in the pores.
Wouldn't it be great if we could have gotten Don Rickles to do a walk-on here?
In the abrasive show?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, what must we do? We must mix a stain.
Mix the cherry stain.
So I'm going to start with a store-bought special walnut.
Which is an oil-based stain.
Right.
In the tuna can into the glass jar.
Okay, we start with the basic.
Like all good cooks, he doesn't really measure.
No. Now this is burnt sienna. It's a burnt sienna.
Just like out of the Crayola box.
Oil color. Now, my favorite color in the world, Venetian red. This gives it the color. We're going to put some Venetian red in here, not too much. This color is so pretty, I could just eat it, lick it right off the stick.
Don't, because then you'd be a Venetian blind. Did everybody see that coming?
And we'll give this a try. This is called mixing and matching a stain. For fun.
I see everybody there with their plywood by the television, the little TV stand.
Everybody's sitting there.
With the spinach souffle, and next to it, the plywood and the stain.
It's starting to look kind of even.
Still a little lighter.
Still a little lighter.
This is damn fine.
Yeah, it's getting good. Now, we'll let this dry, and then we'll come back and we'll put a spit coat on it, right? And then sand that down, and then we'll apply another coat of stain, maybe to just this.
Time for a light beer and a Twinkie. So another spit coat of shellac.
That's right. Now I'm going to sand this molding, too. I'm going to sand hard on this molding.
Good. I'm not even breaking a sweat.
Because I want to get this pine. You know, pine is also very absorbent, as is cherry, so I want to bring out the light marks of the grain. You can see that. But the shellac is sealing the bulk of the wood. Now I'm going to mask
the other side
the plywood.
because you want to darken the solid cherry.
That's right. Solid. Now see, you may say, that looks like it takes a long time. Well, that's how you get a good finish. You want to rush, just go buy the stuff in the can that says cherry. Put it on and say, that doesn't look at all like that guy did on the show.
Why, you're getting riled, I think.
No,
You're getting a little riled.
I'm all right. I'm all right. Da, 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 da. Oh, no.
That looks good. That looks good.
It's getting there.
Wow.
We got to let this dry all together. And then...
Lunch.
No. Then another coat of shellac. Yes. And then another coat of stain over everything. And then another coat of shellac.
And then?
And then another coat of stain, and another coat of shellac, another coat of stain, another coat of shellac. You do this for about 6 years.
And then we can all die.
No,
happy.
we are going to let this dry, put one more coat of shellac on, sand it down, put a final coat of stain over top.
And then what will we have? A lovely, beautiful board.
Piece of board with a crown molding. Now that's what I call a variety show.
I stayed awake through it all. We learned the wonderful world of abrasives.
That's right, how to make a cherry stain, how to pull sagging arms tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And next week, what will we be doing? Stay with us because...
We're going to be doing a
beautiful
Empire
mahogany armoire. Yes. So, until next time, my name is Ed Feldman.
And my name is Joe Lorario, and...
please, be nice.
To your furniture.
Not abrasive.
So I'm going to do I'm going to play the little 80 grit.
No, I'm going to do a sand dance.
Are you?
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
Next on TLC, put a vintage house in tip-top shape. Bob Vila shares